Hi, my name is Rindo, and in this channel I talk a lot about the 100 girlfriends who really love the manga series and soon to be anime and soon to be light novel, which is pretty cool. So yeah. Now, people will often ask me, tell me, Rindo, what are the types of chapters that you may find as you read the series, right? Now, of course, I've noticed that as you read along the manga or the chapters themselves, right, you would find chapters that have sort of similarities or common traits within them, right, with other chapters, and I've sort of categorized and labeled them as to my own, right. This is not an official term, right, but it's just my own opinion and my own perspective as to how I would see these chapters, right. And of course, we're all eager to learn more about this series, right, so if you want, feel free to leave a comment to share your thoughts about this. Perhaps you want to add something or call out something that I've maybe missed, right. So yeah, with that being said, let us jump right into it, shall we? First off, we have the girlfriend debut chapters. Now, fairly simple, these are chapters in which, well, they're gonna debut a new character or a new girlfriend into this series, right? They're not gonna meet the Rentaro family first, right? But these chapters solely focus on how Rentaro, our protagonist, would first meet and interact with the girlfriend, right? And it's then when we try to explore what her deal is, right? What are her interests, hobbies, the personality of hers, or the conflict or dilemma that she has going on, or that she's trying to resolve or overcome as a character, or perhaps along the way through the series, right? And most importantly, what the twist to her character trope is, because if you know this series, like Transformers, there's more than meets the eye. The characters in this series, well, they can be a bit eccentric, unique, but yet at the same time, I can't help but just be, admiring them, or just see how lovable they can be, no matter how well they can be, right? But yeah, that's just one of the charms of this series, I suppose, right? But anyway, moving forward, there are also a lot of different approaches to how these debut chapters can take. For instance, there are some debut chapters in which the girls would land a kiss, right, towards Rentaro on that very chapter, right? For instance, with Yaku, and there are some chapters in which they do not land a first kiss on the first chapter. For instance, with Hakari and with Karenes, they did that on chapter 2, right? That's one for example. And of course, there are also some chapters in which they explore the backstory of the girlfriend, maybe taking a look at their childhood specifically, for instance with Nadi or with Rin, and those sorts of backstories also help back up or give us an idea on how they came to be, right, or how did they end up like this, right. And some also have some girlfriends do not show the backstories on the debut chapter. Instead, it's shown on a sort of bonus chapter, right? Now, what I love about these chapters is that this is the chapter family that allows us as readers to become interested and invested into the new girlfriend, right? And towards their character. Sometimes there's just that moment, right, where I don't know if it's just you, but for me, with Momoha's character, for instance, her debut chapter alone has made me so invested and really into the character because of not only her character design or the way that she is personality wise, but the values that she also has, right, or the values that she shows, right, makes me really interested in her even more so, right. And I really love the way that the author tries to, well, create these characters, right. There's a lot of contradictions or black and white, yin and yangness to them, right, and that's what really gives them such substance, even though it's our first time looking at them, right, or seeing them, which I think is pretty cool, you know. Next, the introduction to the family chapters. Now, these are chapters in which the new girlfriend is introduced to the other girlfriends, and it follows this sort of pattern where the entire family, or everyone, is gathered at the school rooftop where Rentaro goes, and I quote, so due to this and that, I would like you all to accept blank as my newest girlfriend, right? And then oftentimes Karene would make a remark. Sometimes it's really, what is wrong with you, type of deal, right? Yeah, of course, as logically you should, but I like how as more characters just come joining in the family, she's like, okay, I don't care at this point. Of course, other girlfriends, of course, would be happy to have a new member, right? And they following that, they then play along in this sort of group activity within the theme of the new girlfriend in order to sort of understand them more, or maybe just play just because, right? For instance, with Ako's introduction as a gal who loves to open up a store someday in the future, the whole family played store owner role plays, right? Where they each made their own stalls and decided to, sell stuff, right? Which is kind of cool. Another is in Momoha's family activity, right? Where they went on a pretend drinking party, which is, yeah, of course, to fit your character, right? And so on and so forth. And this whole, group activity things, or this entire element of that chapter, right, has become the sort of new meta, so to speak, within the series that's been going on. Because, for instance, with Nana or Hahari or some of the earlier girlfriends, right, they didn't have that sort of family activity thing going on with them, right? That's especially activities that are in line with their character's theme, right? But what I love though about this new approach and to this new formula, so to speak, right, these new chapters, is that not only do we get to see the girlfriends really play with the new family member, which, yeah, I guess saying that without context makes it sound weird, I don't know with you, but yeah, through the activities that we get to see the girlfriends and new girlfriends interact, the new girlfriend interact with the old girlfriends, we get to see and learn more things about them as well, see more bonds, strengthen, and of course get to see shipped pairs of, well, girlfriends getting along and so on and so forth. Story arcs. Now, simple as it is, right? Story arcs, these are ones that build on the sort of narrative of this series, right? And it's a arc, or it's the type of chapters where it's gonna be could be focusing on one of the girlfriends, such as with the Hakari rescue arc, the Tsundere lost arc, food battle arc, so on and so forth. Or it could be a whole family thing, like with the hair invasion arc, or the idol project arc, or the the sports festival arc, and so on and so forth. And with such story arcs, most of which have some form of conflict or dilemma to be resolved, right? And what I love about these arcs is that it really gives more emotion, right? More drama and more substance to this manga series. Again, aside from a love harem rom comedy where heroines don't lose, right? Hyakuno is something more than just that, right? It's a truly, in my opinion, a masterpiece of storytelling, and it utilizes really well the quirkiness of the other characters, and at times when things want to get serious, or when things get serious, well, it really never fails to achieve that sort of essence, right? And I love it. Girlfriend paired chapters, rather, yeah, sorry. Now, these are chapters that involve, well, usually two girlfriend characters, and Rentaro is sometimes not seen within the chapter. Now, for instance, you have the Hakari and Yamame's natural appeal chapter, or Iku and Mei's, well, what's it, the training, right? It's not a monk training, but yeah, harsh, serious training, right? And that very chapter, you also have Chiyo and Nadi's patrol, and so on and so forth, right? I absolutely love about these sorts of chapters is that it accomplishes either of the following. Getting two characters, one is getting two characters to make a deeper connection with one another, the two girlfriends, right? Where we get to learn more about them based off the situation. Two is to either develop and grow the depth and strength and substance to a character, right? And even more so if they are older girlfriends, right? So for instance, if it's a sort of paired chapter within Karane and Ako, for instance, right? Though that's considered a paired chapter because the chapter focuses solely on the two of them, and Karane has sort of developed more and more her character as she interacted and helped solve with Ako's sort of dilemma, right? Which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, there's that. But most importantly, or another good aspect as well that points out from these sorts of chapters, right, fam, is that it establishes that Rentaro, the main protagonist, doesn't always need to be the one to help resolve the conflicts of the heroine, right? And it makes it so that the girlfriends, right, it makes us understand that the girlfriends can help each other out from their own input or from their own power, other than just Rentaro's, right? And this also really shows us that the other girlfriends truly and genuinely do care about each other, about one another, right? And they're not just bound together, or they're not just with together or with each other, right? Because they are quote-unquote fellow girlfriends. And Nano said something really similar to this, right? Early on in the series, along the lines of, and I quote or paraphrase rather, I don't hang around you guys because I feel obligated as Rentero's girlfriend. I do so because I like you guys, something like that, right? So yeah, such a simple act as, you know, allowing the heroines to help solve each other's problems or to build off on one another, right? To help develop their own personality, their own character traits for that matter, right? It's that sort of simplicity that gives the role of family or the essence of family, right, within this series so much more meaning, because family sticks together, fam. Do you agree, right? Family sticks together. Family would always have your back, and they show that sort of love through such chapters, and that's absolutely amazing. Solo with Rentero chapters. That may sound weird, but I'll try to explain. Right now, these are chapters that focuses on two characters mainly or mostly. Rentero, the main protagonist, and one other girlfriend or heroine character, right? And these types of chapters as well can be divided into sort of two categories, right? Which are the solo date chapters, such as with Iku and the movie date, for instance, right? And there's also a solo event chapter, for instance, with the Tiny Nano chapter, for instance, right? So there you go. And what I love about these chapters is that we get to learn more about the girlfriend and to see how Rentero can further develop his relationship and bond with said girlfriend, right? And yeah, that's simple as that. There are also group date chapters with Rentero, right? Or the group date with Rentero chapters, right? Now, this is sort of a similar chapter to that of the solo with Rentero, right? But instead of just one girlfriend tagging along, there's two or three, right? And by no means is it something like a third or fourth wheel type of deal, right? It's a type of date or the type of story where all of the characters really get to shine, right? For instance, with two characters having a date, right? You have Ako and Uto, that sort of date. You have also the Yako and Kishika amusement park date. For the three partners, you have the Sundere trio date. You also have the Momoha, Hahari rather, and Iku date. So on and so forth, right? And what I love from these chapters, or what I love about these chapters, is that for one, we get to see how these girlfriends can have some sort of commonality or similarity between the three of them, and that allows us to further expand on their quirkiness and to expand their characters and to see how dynamic and how well they can interact with other girlfriends, and to also, if not similar, they can also contradict one another, right? That's the thing about this. There's a lot of different possibilities as to how pairings of different girlfriends can be achieved, right? Now, yeah, involvement of the other girlfriends will of course lead to more family bonding. The bond gets stronger, all of them would get along, so on and so forth. And you have family chapters. Now these chapters is one where everyone in the Rentero family is involved in the story, right? And much like with the solo with Rentero chapters, these sorts of chapters can also be divided into sort of two subcategories, right? One of which is a family activity, which is similar to that of the family activity that you would have in a introduction to the Rentero family chapter, right? So you have, for instance, you have the Lap Pillow chapter, the I Love You chapter, the Television Love Story chapter, and the Everyone Was a Baby chapter. You also have the family date chapters where the entire Rentero family would go off on a date, right? So for instance, the resort spa date, the karaoke date, hot spring date, and mountain hiking date, right? And yeah, what I really love about these chapters, simple enough, like all of them or any chapter that involves Rentero and the girlfriends, right? We get to see girlfriend combos or paired girlfriends get along, some family bonding here and that, and we also get to see, well, the girlfriends in a whole new light based off on the activities. So this is all that I've come up with so far, or at least it's as to how I have observed it, right? Reading along this series for quite some time, or a long time rather. And yeah, if I've missed something or maybe there's something that you want to add, please do so in the comments below. That would be pretty cool, right? So yeah, that's about it essentially. Take care, family.